Hello and welcome to another update video about LINK. We want to start on the daily chart. Here you can see again the idea that LINK long-term has a good chance for another, let's say, bull market high in a fifth wave, which should get to sort of roughly, based on what we see now, to the area between $91 and $180 roughly. That's the moving target. It can still change along the way. We will have to adjust this as we go, basically, okay? So that's sort of a long-term target. And for this long-term target, we have here an ideal accumulation zone, you could say, which is between $5.89, roughly, yeah, and $2.90 pretty much. So obviously this has been triggered several times. Price has been moving away from it. I've mentioned many times that probably the best way to trade this is with a grid bot. Yeah, and when you're using a grid bot in this range, then you should be in profit, especially now with the latest move to the upside. Basically, this is a very well-defined range between sort of here, this support, the last low maybe, and the $9.50 level. So it's sort of dancing around here, yeah? So obviously no clear impulse in any direction at the moment, just chopping around. We really need a breakout out of the range to the upside to indicate that some kind of a change is happening on this chart. So obviously, again, you know, long-term accumulation zone, if you're using this and, you know, when you're using this and the price is then moving away from it, I mean, from time to time, it might make sense to move up the stop loss. It might make sense to take some profits when the market makes them available. You know, that's all dependent on your personal trading strategy. I can really only give you the relevant levels where in this scenario, the price has a good chance to turn around. Okay, so, and looking at the daily chart, and also, you know, we intentionally showed the long-term charts over recent weeks so that we don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Very important. So, but again, nothing has changed. It's still moving in the range. Now, looking at this chart, you also see this trend channel here, which hasn't been broken yet to the upside. So it's not been breached. So we've got this horizontal resistance at $9.50. If that breaks, it could send price, as I said last time, quite quickly to around $18. We've got a descending price channel here as well, which first of all needs to break to then enable the price to test $9.50. So I would pay attention to this descending trend line and potential resistance as we approach it. Okay, now let's take a look at the shorter time frame wave count, which is this one here, which shows a little bit more detail. So based on this wave count, it is, first of all, it's possible that a low has been struck, obviously, here in June, but it's not confirmed yet. And it looks a little bit strange to assume that a low has been struck here, because it's not a 5-wave move down. It's only a 3-wave move down. That would make it quite unusual that a lasting low has been struck. Okay. So what are the other options? Well, first of all, I think it's very likely that it's moving down in an ending diagonal pattern. So with ending diagonals, if you pay attention to the videos, you know that I often say that these change their structures, change their wave counts along the way, because a diagonal pattern is, well, it's structured based on, well, corrective. It's you know, it's made up of corrective wave structures. So, and they change a lot. So whenever we're dealing with this and don't have an impulse, don't be surprised if the scenarios changed. There's just a general note, because you have to expect headwinds when we deal with patterns like this. Yeah, it's not an impulse. It's not a very desirable way to trade this, you know, manually at least. That's why I said, you know, grid bot is probably the way, and trading within a range in a grid bot. And then if you like to have a breakout trade, you could just trade the breakout of the range. You know, they are just, potential trade setups. Now, obviously, this is not the only way how this can unfold. There are other scenarios how this could unfold. But to really confirm a lasting low in place, we need 5 waves up, 3 waves down, because 5 waves up isn't enough. So if we see this, let's say this was a wave 1, this is a wave 2, this is a wave 3, 4, 5, then 5 waves up will not be enough. Why? Because let's assume, yeah, the wave 3 bottomed here in May 22. Let's assume the move up was just an A wave. Let's assume the move down was just an overshooting B wave to the downside. And let's assume we are now rallying in a C wave. That's also possible in a wave 4, okay? And then we could still come down later. So that's still possible. That's the problem when we only have 5 waves up and not 3 waves down, So if we get 5 up and 3 down, shown here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 waves down, then it's also possible to set basically a tight stop loss. And we call this a wave 1, this a wave 2. We have confirmation that the trend has changed. And, that's typically then the time to take some more aggressive positions. Now, obviously, I would just sort of rely maybe on the larger time frame. Anybody who's looking for any sort of long-term spot positions or so, we just leaving a long-term accumulation zone again. It's just not the very desirable, chart to trade manually, in my opinion. Okay. Nevertheless, it's also here reacted to the support zone, moving away from it, but it's now moving into resistance. And this Fibonacci resistance zone between $7.52 and $8.65 is now going to be relevant, because here we will see a decision if this is a wave 2. So basically in wave 5, a wave 2, and we would break down in a third wave next. That's pretty much in line with Bitcoin at the moment. Or if we break above $8.65, the 78.6 retracement, it's going to make it very likely that it's going to retest the $9.50 level, expect some resistance there. If it breaks above it, then we have a reset of wave 4 higher. And it would be this, what did I say, like an expanded flat pattern. Okay, so these are the different scenarios. There are more scenarios. There are a lot of scenarios when we deal with diagonal patterns. It's even possible that the wave 4 is only ending here and we've got a so-called running flat pattern. A wave up, overshooting B wave to the downside, and maybe the C wave even ended here. There are different ways of how this can be approached, but most importantly, there is currently, the range is very well defined, long-term accumulation zone is defined, but also short-term resistance is defined, and it's very clear that we haven't got a confirmation that a lasting low is in place, because the move of the June lows hasn't been impulsive. I mean, you can count anything in 5 waves if you want to, but this is not a clean impulse. It looks rather like a 3-wave structure, 3 waves up, 3 waves down, and this is not enough price action yet. So we'll see. I think the levels are very clear. How you integrate that into your own strategy is up to you. But as I said, as long as we're here chopping around, nothing has really changed in this chart. We are in a range, okay? We are in a range, and within the range, a descending price channel. It will be interesting if anything exciting happens in this area. First of all, I would pay attention to this resistance area going all the way up to $8.65 and watch for a reaction and a potential breakdown as a result. Yeah, that's my update about LINK. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.